Hello, thank you for joining us today. My name is Carlene.
And I'm Jay. We are also known as Jaylene.
On this channel, we recap and provide our reviews for Married at First Sight.
Today, we'll be reviewing episode 18 called What's Our Safe Word?
If you subscribe, commented, or like our videos, thank you. We really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please subscribe now and click the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. We're going to start off with Nicole and Chris. So the couple was excited to be back home and reflected on the retreat. They both believed that Kirsten and Shaquille and Jasmine Airris made the most improvements in their marriages. Nicole mentioned that they never include themselves when talking about growth in marriages, and they never included Gina and Clint because that couple was never brought up in this conversation. Nicole thinks she did well being a sore loser because Chris was encouraging her during the mini golfing. But does she really think that Chris wants to do this every time they are doing something she isn't good at? I think not. When Nicole told Chris that he never pineappled her at all, I completely forgot that was the safe word. Then she asked if he wanted to pineapple her. I think she was looking for an argument here because if he said yes, she would have been upset. Chris said he wants to get rid of the word pineapple along with the actual pineapples in the apartment, and he would give her a look or a touch if she was being too much.
To me, I feel like Chris may be saying no on decision day just based on the way he was acting in his answers. Because even if he would have said pineapple at the golf course, that would have created another fight that they needed to work through. But maybe he's like, you know what? I'm just going to ride this out and try not to push any more buttons so I can just get to decision day and go back to being single.
Yeah, that's what it seems like it's looking like. If Chris says something, it's going to push her buttons. If Chris doesn't say something, it's going to push her buttons. Anything is going to push Nicole's buttons. Did you see how fast Chris was finding anything in that apartment that was a pineapple? He was like, no traces of pineapples will be remaining here. He was taking down the lights, and he even wanted to get rid of the dog's chew toy. Chris met with his brother, who is also a life coach, for help. They were looking at old cars and talked about his marriage. So Chris wants to know what life would be like after this process, and he said that he would be heartbroken if it doesn't work out. Nicole called her dad on FaceTime to talk about the marriage. Her dad was like, Nicole, this is your decision, not mine. Her dad actually had kind things to say about Chris and how he supports the marriage. Nicole says how not knowing about the living situation after decision day is stressing her out. Okay, Jasmine and Airris. The couple sat in bed and talked about the couples retreat. Airris thanked Jasmine for a great experience there because they had fun. He continues to compliment her on the efforts she's making so far. And Airris tells Jasmine when she speaks up, that's the best version of herself. At least he is learning now and saying nice things to his wife, but I feel every time they talk, they have to be reminded. Jasmine, speak up more. Airris, create a safe space so I can speak up more. Airris said he wouldn't have a problem if Jasmine initiated a hand grab or a hug and said how she started doing that already. My question is, Airris, are you initiating these things too? It can't just be one-sided. Jasmine seemed very happy with what Airris was saying about holding hands and hugs because it seemed more natural now. She smiled like there might be hope after all. Gina and Jasmine went for pole dancing lessons to feel better about themselves. Airris thought it would be fun to show up and get a private show from his wife.
So it looks like Jasmine needs to be a stripper this whole time in order to feel like Airris will be into her. It seemed like the dynamic changed in that setting. She was a little bit nervous and embarrassed, but he throwing out money like he's a rapper. So this whole time, she just needed to be a stripper. That's all he needed. Not a big booty, just a stripper.
Jasmine and Airris got a surprise box similar to Gina and Clint from the experts to help with their intimacy. They blindfolded each other, and unlike Gina and Clint, Jasmine and Airris massaged each other with objects and their hands. Then Airris thought it would be a good idea to have his wife slap him. He kept encouraging her to slap him harder and harder.
So Airris is into 50 Shades of Grey. Very interesting. Jasmine, that was her time. If she really wanted to take out some of that frustration, that would have been time to do it. But as she said on After Party, it would have been coming from a bad place if she would have did the frustration slap that she wanted to do or was thinking about doing. But yeah, this marriage is a wrap. It's like everyone's right now, it seems like they're just in it for the home stretch, just trying to get through it because everyone looks very unhappy.
He lucky it was Jasmine he was talking to, because if it was someone else and they remembered how he treated them previously, it would have been a punch rather than a soft slap. Airris feels there's a sexual energy shift, and he was enjoying that foot rub from Jasmine. It looked like he found that spark he was looking for. Jasmine and Airris had a psychic reading like Jasmina and Michael from a previous season. The psychic asked them to sign their names, and it was interesting to see how both of their first letters were strong. Then Airris was told that he was still finding himself, and Jasmine questions everything and has fear on her. When the psychic told them that this is a time of decision and they went into this like a fool, I was like, tell us something we don't know. They were told that they were a good match and to get out of their heads. Everyone has been telling them that.
I wish in this scene they would have showed more of the stuff we didn't know about already about these couple. I know on After Party, Airris said that Jasmine lost someone close to her or something of that type of nature, but they didn't air that part. But stuff like that, I feel us as the audience, they should do stuff we don't know about the couple already. All of the stuff that she was saying, that's pretty obvious if you're watching the show. But they're starting to seem like it's recycling from other seasons doing the same activities, which either it's a budget issue or they're just lazy.
Kirsten and Shaquille. Kirsten met with her brother and talked about the marriage. She believes conversations aren't intentional with Shaquille because she doesn't know the plan for their marriage in the future. Her brother wanted to know her plans for the marriage. Kirsten doesn't feel 100% emotionally connected to him and is undecided because they don't really touch each other, and she doesn't think that Shaquille wants to be in the marriage with her.
I agree. Based on how Shaq was in the very beginning of the marriage, he seemed like he was all in the beginning. And once the attraction thing, he's like, okay, I'll let that pass. We can build on that, whatever the case may be. I don't know how much of it is his personal issues that he's got going on with school and not graduating on time or whatever the case may be. Or it's something that we haven't seen between them two that he's kind of turned off by her now. And then she's more like, oh, I'm trying to get into it. And he's like, they're opposites. But they're getting on my nerves with this communication thing. It shouldn't be that difficult. If you say exactly what you want and what you mean what you say, and vice versa, instead of like she's saying we're not having intentional conversations. So if you're saying that, what does that mean specifically for you to him where he can understand it? They really do need a mediator, and this is where the show is getting on my nerves when it comes to not wanting to see an actual successful marriage. Because if that was the case and they know they're having this issue, wouldn't you want to bring someone in to help them out in this situation? Because it's really ridiculous at this point.
Because Shaquille has other commitments with school and work, Kirsten doesn't think he has enough time for her. She wants to make an effort by inviting her mother and brother over for dinner with her and Shaquille. Then Kirsten mentioned Shaquille meeting their father. Her brother was giving her a warning and was like, he has to be the right one to meet dad. I mean, they were making jokes about Shaquille meeting their dad and everything. Shaquille met with his friend on FaceTime. Shaquille doesn't know where they are in the marriage and feels it's a 6 out of 10. There goes that rating system again. Well, at least he is over the halfway mark. Kirsten made a meal with Shaquille, and she shared the conversation she had with her brother. Kirsten tells Shaquille that she invited her family over, and this surprised him. He was like, here? He wanted to know why it's taken so long for this moment to happen. Kirsten gave that look, the one you give a child, and the dynamic shifted from husband and wife to mother and son. Kirsten talked about everyone had to work. Shaquille reminded Kirsten that people make time for things that they wanted, and Kirsten actually agreed with him. Shaquille wanted to get to the bottom of this and wanted to know, who is it to blame? Is it her family? Is it him? Is it Kirsten? Kirsten had enough of the questions and said it's the scheduling to shut him down. In his confessional, Shaquille thought Kirsten's family was weird, or at least their communication, because when she asked them to stop by, they wouldn't. He's used to his family just showing up and supporting him. But Shaquille has to remember not all families are that close, or maybe they think the marriage isn't going to work out and they don't want to start investing in it. Shaquille just wouldn't let it go and wanted to know if it was him. Kirsten wants to feel wanted from her husband and doesn't feel like he even likes her. Shaquille didn't say a word while his wife was talking, but just looked at her. Then it reminded me of that Alicia Keys video, Like You Never See Me Again, when Common was her love interest, and when she was getting mad in the video, and then the camera panned over at Common and he just looked at her. Then we saw footage of Shaquille coming home just ignoring Kirsten. Kirsten was pouring out her heart to him and how she has been feeling. He just kept looking at her, not saying a word. Then Shaquille said they never had a conversation about it, and he didn't know she felt this way. Can someone please tell me, what have they been talking about if he didn't know this, or if they don't know the plans after decision day? Kirsten told him, well, I'm telling you this now so that we can work on it. Shaquille just took a deep breath.
This is why I would say effective communication is good in a relationship. I wish she would have told Shaquille this earlier, not less than a week to go before decision day. As most men, all men, we can't read a woman's mind, so we're not going to know what you're thinking. And this should have been clear for her throughout this process.
The couple got ready and went to church. I like how they talked about growing up in the church and how they can see it in their marriage. Kirsten set up dinner and only her mom was able to attend. Just like the wedding day, it took her mom forever to get there. Shaquille had to go out to find her. Kirsten couldn't wait because she didn't want to be hangry. When asked about the marriage and how it was going, there was a pause. Shaquille admitted to not being his best self. He helped Kirsten take down her walls and then use the same brick to build his own wall. Kirsten wants Shaquille to be happy to see her when he arrives home, even if he's having a stressful day at work or school. Kirsten's mom told them to let go of their high expectations that they have of each other. They need to practice gratitude at this point. If they're doing that, then I think they'll actually show up for their spouse.
I did like Kirsten's mom advice here. The expectations that they have for each other are I'll say high. And it seems like they're not talking about what they want or what they need, but they're telling us and the producers to talking to each other. And I don't understand why that is so difficult. It bugs me. I don't know why.
Gina and Clint. Although Clint says things are getting better with Gina at a slow pace, he seems more happier spending time with Hank. Clint met up with McKinley at the gym. McKinley is surprised that Clint and Gina aren't attracted to each other. In his confessional, McKinley thought he and Gina would have made a better match because they are both entrepreneurs and not big partiers.
This mofo got some nerve. I don't know why he's back on this show. He should have just stayed where he was. Yeah, they probably would have made a better match, better TV. But it's ridiculous. McKinley has no business being back on this show. It's like, there's no point until reunion.
Gina finally convinced Clint to get a professional haircut because it's been 8 years since. When Marlon, the hairstylist, asked Gina if she would still love Clint if he cut it all off, she paused. She just wanted to see something different from Clint. He seemed happy with his new haircut. It didn't seem like Gina cared either way.
If the stylist is supposed to be Gina's friend, wouldn't he already know that she ain't feeling Clint like that? So I didn't understand why he said, would you still love him regardless? Like, is that shade towards Clint or what?
Dr. Pepper and Pastor Cal thought if they visit Gina and Clint together, it would be a great way to bring them hope before decision day. The couple didn't do their homework that she suggested from her last visit, so they didn't watch those emotional movies together. I feel you, Dr. Pepper. When you make a suggestion that could work and there's no follow-through, the couple just made excuses. Pastor Cal mentioned their body language and how it looked comfortable. However, Gina's feelings never grew past friendship. Dr. Pepper called them out on the wedding day. Remember, they were doing a lot of kissing and touching. So basically, they were putting on a show for the guests. I feel the damage is done, and it makes no sense that Dr. Pepper and Pastor Cal is trying to push them to have a connection rather than a friendship. They brought up not being physically attracted to each other, and Gina brought up Clint's personality and how it's basically embarrassing her. This caught Clint off guard.
This other mofo. So this thing with Gina, she checked out, I want to say, since the honeymoon where he unofficially called her fat. But I thought Clint was going to be the bad guy of the season. Turned out to be a very genuine person. So I felt Clint was trying most of the time. I feel if Gina would have gave a little bit of reciprocating feelings to Clint, he probably would have treated her differently as far as trying to pursue her, make her feel like a wife, where she claims she didn't feel that way. But a man's not going to treat you as a wife or a potential love interest if you're not giving him any feedback for that. So that doesn't make any sense to me. And if she felt this way about Clint, why not tell Clint and let's let it happen all out in the open where he's being blindsided? I don't like Gina, especially for that reason right there. She's like all over the place. She'll say one thing, but she'll say something else at the end. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, Gina said she never felt pursued by Clint, or she never felt like a wife. And she didn't think cooking was for her because he could cook for anyone. Now Clint is going to let Gina starve until decision day. Luckily, it's less than a week away. That's all we have for episode 18. What are your thoughts on episode 18? Remember to like and subscribe and like. Go ahead and enjoy the hype. While you're at it, leave a comment if you see fit. We love to review it, and click the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos.
Later, everyone.
Bye.